Okay, we're live. We're doing this by ourselves. All right. So we're looking at it on Facebook and it's like 9 seconds behind. Okay, there we go.
So we wanted to come on and assure everyone we are not getting a divorce.
I didn't know that was even coming. Was that an option? Okay, good.
Only when I'm really mad at you.
Well, I signed up for a lifetime.
So I have been posting some vulnerable posts about my struggles mentally. And I mentioned in one of my posts that Chris and I are not doing as good as we normally are. And I shared that because I don't want anyone to ever think that we have the perfect marriage. It's pretty close to perfect. It really is. And we have come so far in 14 years. And compared to my, I'm trying to choose my words wisely, compared to my other marriages, plural. Anyways, we're great, but I share vulnerably because I want people to know that our life is not perfect. We still have our struggles, but the way we process them and how we handle them and how we overcome them are very different than they were 2.5 years ago. And I ultimately want to be a voice for those who are struggling in silence. I want you to know that you are not alone.
Yes. And unbeknownst to me, there was a post about this, us not doing well, that I didn't see. So many of you know that I have decided to take a break from social media. I didn't even jump on for like 3 weeks. Now that I've been on a few times, I just kind of dip in, throw a post out, and then I bounce out. So I don't really spend a lot of time. I didn't like how much control it had over me. And so I just told Tiffany, hey, I'm taking a break. And so I put it on the fifth page of my phone, so I don't even see it anymore. But anyways, we, like she said, we wanted to come out here and put out a live, just spur of the moment, because we haven't done it in a while, and just kind of do a check-in. Yes, things are different than 2.5 years ago, but guys, we still struggle. We're humans. We have moments where our marriage, it's tough. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't really think there is a perfect one out there. And if there is, then they might be in denial, in my opinion, because you're going to have moments where you just don't like each other. You don't, but you love each other and you made a commitment and you figure it out. And so we wanted to come on today to share some of that. Tiffany says, hey, we need to go live because we had a really great conversation a minute ago. But the problem with that is a lot of times when you have those moments, it's like they're spirit led and you can't reenact them, but we're going to do our best. And so hopefully Tiffany can do some really great ask some really great questions to kind of really do that, because we had a great conversation. And it's not bragging, it just goes to show you that, when you've been married for a while, you mature in your marriage, you mature as a person, you mature collectively as a couple, and you're able to counsel one another. Cool thing is Tiffany told me, okay, I'm ready to receive feedback from you. And I thought, that's really cool. Because, sometimes when us guys want to fix our wives, they don't want to be fixed. They just want to word vomit on you, and you just take it and you just listen, and that's it. So what was really neat is Tiffany opened up the door by saying, hey, I'm ready for some feedback. I want to help. I want you to help me move through this thing that I got going on. And what's going on is her business. The thing is the business,
not just my business,
not just the business, but it's playing a role as far as my interpretation and what's affecting a lot of her emotions.
Well,
so
I think it's too more personal. I'm going to disagree with that because I think during different seasons, seasonal depression, hormones, different things can come into play for women. And I've struggled with my mental health my entire life. And thank God I am no longer drinking or taking pills to change the way I feel. I am actually feeling the feelings and the emotions. And that's why I share so openly it is not some cryptic message that I'm going to try to kill myself or something like that. So I'm grateful for those of you who have reached out and are concerned, but please don't sharing why I'm struggling. My 18-year-old is not talking to me, and he hasn't talked to me since October. And that has been a big part of why I've been so down. I still have really bad nightmares. I don't sleep very good ever. And most of the time it doesn't really bother me, but sometimes it does catch up with me. I've gotten sick more than normal in the past month. I'm going through some transition in my business that I'm really guilty of attaching my self-worth to how successful my business is. How many of you out there attach your self-worth to production, or how much you can get done, or how much money you make, or how many people you can help, or whatever your business is? It's really hard to not get trapped in attaching your worth to the outcome of what you do for a living. And ultimately, my mission is to empower as many people as God allows to become the person that He created them to be. And I'm going to have people that come in and out of my life that I coach. And I have such a deep connection with these people. And I truly believe it's my gift. When someone leaves, I get this hole in my heart. And it's not that they're leaving. Chris reminded me they are moving on. I don't want people to need me forever. My goal is to empower. But I get this huge feeling of abandonment and loss, and it triggers emotions and insecurities in me when someone moves on. And this happened to me in my Optavia business because I cared about those people too. And it happens in my fitness business. I don't know how to not care that much yet. So I'm working on learning how to manage that gift to where I can love people and it not hurt so bad when they leave.
Yeah, that's a, so how can we serve the viewers of this? How can I try to recreate what we had a discussion about?
Whenever the last month that I've been really irritated and sad and had really extreme highs and lows that aren't what it's not my normal anymore. It used to be my normal. It is not my normal. And it was, for whatever reason, I was putting a wall up. Everything Chris did irritated me, really. And I'm sure I was getting on his nerves too. I took everything on the defense. I've been in survival mode, and I was taking everything personally. I was letting things trigger me. And when I said Chris and I aren't doing as good as we normally are, I was really irritated with him and feeling disconnected, which our goal is connection. And I was not feeling, and I would tell him, I don't feel connection. I don't feel connection. And I didn't know how to fix it. In the past few days, would you say I have been more open to receiving feedback, or maybe I have created a safe place for you to tell me your advice?
Yeah.
But for a month, I didn't really want to know what he thought because I was not receiving it in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the business thing was playing a bigger role than maybe you might realize. But I think the good news is I started a business 20 years ago. So I have experienced the highs and lows, the peaks and the valleys, and I've been able to impart some of the hard lessons that I've learned to her. And she's really, especially today, was a great conversation. I wish we could have caught that thing candid, like
he said,
secret camera.
I love the analogy of, let's go to I'm a generator.
Yeah. So, man, I'll try to recreate this. Hopefully.
So I am a very dominant,
powerful, driven person. And I thought, I think I'm not the only guy who's married to a woman who is like a Ferrari, who just runs and runs and runs and can take on a lot of stuff. But I reminded her about the ebbs and flows of business. And like she said a minute ago, is, people come and go. They're not quitting you. They've moved on. That you've served them, or it's not the right season, or whatever. And I remind you, if I thought about every customer that I served and I didn't have another project to do for them immediately, then that would drive me nuts. So you have to learn how to just see people as they come in and go in seasons. But I was telling Tiffany that she's like a generator, and a generator is a vessel. Okay.
I love it when I'm compared to power tools.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do. I'm in construction, and so I have lots of power tools. But a generator, for those of you that don't know, you probably all know, they generate power, and they are a vessel for power. But generators have different categories. Some are smaller and some are bigger. And so for Tiffany, sometimes her capacity is maxed out. Like the generator that I have that powers my camper is not the same one I would need to power my whole entire house. I would need a much bigger generator. And so sometimes you got to have an alternative source of power, which would be me. And so my job is to help carry her along, but sometimes she doesn't let me.
I was about to say, I was like, I really just didn't want him to help me, but I knew I needed something, and I knew I had ran myself into the ground, pouring, and not getting poured into, but I wasn't in a place to receive you. And I don't think you were doing a very good job at trying either.
Well,
like you were a little irritated at me too.
Of course, you can only hug a porcupine so much before you're like, I'm tired of getting stuck, right? But anyway, so what I encouraged her to do was, it's a lot of the stuff that we already know, we already do. It's falling back on all of our training, such as, what we focus on expands. So if Tiffany focuses on the negative parts of life and business, then that's what's going to come at her. More and more of that's going to come. So being in business for 20 years, I am optimistic, especially with what's coming on, what's going to happen in the next 4 years. So she asked me how I'm so positive about that. It's because I have to be. I have learned through 20 years of business that I can look at it through the lens of doom and gloom. Oh my God, it's slow right now. What are we going to do? Where are the customers? How are we going to make it? Or I can look at it through the lens of optimism and go, it's coming. There's a tidal wave coming. By spring, we're all going to be wishing we weren't so busy. So enjoy the present moment where you're at right now. And plus, for those of you that don't know, we're going to be grandparents. And so Tiffany is going to be traveling to Australia in February, and we'll be gone for about 3 weeks. And I'm going to be holding down the fort. It's going to be amazing. Not really, we're going to miss her. But anyways, so I encouraged her to stay in the moment, in the present moment, enjoy every single day as it comes, and not to worry about all the stuff over
and
here.
That's hard when you feel, because feelings are not always true. They're most of the time the opposite.
Feelings are indicators, not dictators.
So yeah, it's hard to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave and enjoy 3 weeks in a time difference. It's about 14 hours, and I'm going to leave my life and my business that's falling apart. This is like me catastrophizing, and I'm being totally vulnerable. Nothing's falling apart. And but it feels like it, and it feels very, very real. Like this is probably not a great time to leave for 3 weeks and be unplugged because I love serving people, and I don't want to leave my people, but I also don't want to not have the best experience possible of being present for my daughter and new grandson.
Yeah, Dale, little Dale. Collier loves that name.
So, the generator part, you didn't really do a good job. It was, you said, I need help getting the generator in the truck.
Oh, so okay. So Tiffany is like a generator. Well, okay. So the Bible says that women are the weaker vessel. Okay. And that doesn't mean that
we don't need emails or text about this. He's not saying I'm lesser than.
That's right. I'm just saying that sometimes that vessel is completely capable of being full. But sometimes that fullness makes it hard to carry. And so my job is to come along and help carry her. So in other words, sometimes I have to take my little generator to deer camp to power the camper and all the other things that I need to do. But I can't pick that thing up and put it in the back of my truck by myself. So I have to have Tiffany come along and help me lift that vessel of power and put it inside the back of my truck so that I can carry it to the lease and use it to power the camper and things like that. So that's why I'm saying I wish we would have videoed ourselves the first time, because it was really great.
Well,
And I'm hoping that we're getting the message across. So don't hone in on the fact that the Bible says that women are the weaker vessel. It just means that they need help. And so do we. It doesn't mean that they're incapable, that they're, flawed or fractured or something's wrong with them. But guys, we're meant and called to come along with our wives and help them carry the load. That's the message there.
and I've been feeling like I've been carrying a bigger load than I'm meant to carry. To be
Yeah,
honest.
construction is slow. It just is. But like I reminded her, it's normal, especially this time of year, especially in an election year, especially with the transition of powers. The interest rates are high. There's a lot of factors coming in, but thank God he prepared you in advance with plenty. And you've been able to grow your business in a time when a lot of people are not.
Yeah, and this business is more than just a business for me.
It's your calling.
It's my calling, it's my mission, and it's my purpose, and it gives every bit of what I've endured and overcome purpose. So this is so much more than just a business to me. And my ultimate goal is to speak on stages all over and to be able to get my message to tens of thousands of people who need it, not just ones who can work with me one-on-one with coaching. And my power has been lacking, and I needed Chris to help me power up.
Yes,
Right.
but she also had to let me. She had to come to the point in herself where she was feeling broken or tired or whatever word you want to plug in there. And then she came to me and said, okay, I'm ready to receive. But that's the thing, guys. If your wife is having a moment, don't dive in there trying to fix. I know you want to fix. We're really great at that. But sometimes they just need an ear. They need a shoulder. And then they will invite you in. And that's when you make the move to help.
Yeah, I love it.
Because they won't receive it until they're ready.
So we can't meet emotion with logic. So if there is something, if someone is coming to me with logic when I'm in an emotionally heightened state, I'm going to get triggered. I'm going to get defensive. I'm not going to process it correctly. And you will probably be my enemy if you tell me logically that I should not be feeling this way. So what's worked in our marriage is we ask each other, do you want me to listen, or do you want me to give you some advice or feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Or can I give you some good information?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's my responsibility to tell him, I just want you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm ready to receive whatever you have for me. And then it's my responsibility to keep my mouth shut and not interrupt or do any kind of rebuttal when he gives it to me. I can take it or leave it. I'm going to be open to everything and attached to nothing. And that doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything he's saying, but I'm going to consider it.
That's right. So Tiffany has opened herself up for information. So most of the time when there is a disagreement with married people or anybody in general, it's an expectation and information problem. So Tiffany set her expectations for me to come in and give her good information. But if your expectations are unspoken, unrealistic, or unknown, chances are the person you want that feedback from is not going to be able to meet those expectations because you haven't made them plain.
Yeah. And for the past month, I was wanting to be loved on and supported, but I wasn't being lovable.
I liken it to hugging a porcupine. They want you to come in and love on them, but she's got all the little quills out. And I'm like, I can't touch you because your quills are out.
So obviously we are passionate people and we love passionately and we can fight really passionately too. And we've gotten in some bigger fights than we have in a very, very long time, maybe one in particular, but that hasn't happened. And so what did we learn and what does this make possible? That we still have to be guarded. We have to not be naive enough to think that those kind of things cannot come in and the devil can't attack our marriage. And that's why we protect ourselves in sobriety. And we also need to protect our, put on the spiritual armor. And, my connection with God hasn't been as great either. So I'm leaving myself vulnerable. And I know that. So what can I do to be proactive to fix it? One of my things is sharing with y'all. And then obviously I'm fasting and praying for at least until Wednesday. Because I got to get it together. I don't want to stay in this valley longer than I have to, longer than is necessary. I want to get whatever God's trying to teach me, and I want to move on and use it to help someone else. But you can't leave yourself open vulnerably. Like, don't be naive to think that you have it figured out. This happens in sobriety. People sometimes go 20 years without drinking or using, and they let their guard down and they stop protecting their environment or putting their sobriety first. And all of a sudden they slip and they think one time's okay. And then it goes downhill from there. I think that's with your mental health and in your marriage. Don't forget to protect your marriage and your mental health too in those areas.
Yeah. Using the tools that we've learned, some that we've created, some that we've borrowed, some that whatever. We don't have a patent on any of them, but
they work.
They do work.
They work. And it's really cool to know that the one thing we do know is that we're navigating through this without changing the way we feel with alcohol or checking out with anything. We're actually processing the feelings and asking the questions of, okay, what's important today, and how can I use this to learn, grow, and most importantly, to glorify God in the process.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I got off social media, because I was using it to check out. And now when I'm in there, I'm very mindful of how much time I spend in there. And I protect that. So why don't you grab your book there and hold it up for any new people who may not know that you wrote a book, and tell them where they can find it.
Yeah. This book is a great read. It's easy, it's fast. And you know what? It's shocking to me that I wrote this. So it was truly, there was no Chat GPT or AI used in the writing of this book. God definitely gave me every word that was written, but it is my story, which is pretty crazy. So that's a little entertaining, but it's also the tools that I have used to overcome trauma, addiction, and so much more, and to get out of a victim mindset. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart. And so there's actually action steps in the back, and some of the resources that I use for mindset coaching are in this book as well. So I wanted it to be not only my testimony, but a solution. Yeah.
And so before we go, if you like what you see, please comment, please like, please share, please follow us on all the things. We've got them all, I think, right?
Yeah. And get ready to be overloaded with pictures from Australia and a new baby.
Yeah. And share with all of your friends if you found anything in what we've said helpful or it spoke to you, and you know that somebody else needs to hear it. we would love for you to share with them.
Yeah. And if you're watching and you have a women's group or church or business that you would like for me to speak at, I would love to serve in that capacity. I've got some great ways to help people grow in their journey, and I want to share them more. So if you're looking for a speaker, I would love to serve you.
Or a couple speaker. We do that too. If you have anybody looking for, or you know of anyone that needs or is thinking about hiring, or even just bringing on a couples speaker, we do that too. So
I'm on a strict schedule and I'm going to go work out now.
All right. Thanks for
All right.
everybody
Love
tuning
y'all.
in.
Like, share, and subscribe for the best in fitness and mindset coaching.